Hey guys, so normally when I do my um, monthly wrap-ups, TBR videos, I do them together, kind of get them all out of the way. It's a bit of a longer video, usually about 30 minutes. Um, but because I didn't do one in November, I'm going to go ahead and do the October wrap-up and the November wrap-up together, and then we'll do the TBR probably sometime tomorrow. I'll film that. Got to get my mind wrapped around that. It's mostly going to be self-published science fiction competition books. I need to have a top 10 out of 30 completely read. I am going to read them all for any of the authors that may watch this. I'm definitely reading your books. I'm not going to, just read 5%, 10%, 15%, and not read the rest of it. I am going to read it, and I'm going to review every book that was put before me. But just to get through the competition books that I've said no on, I'm going to wait to read later. Don't know what that was. Okay, so let's go into books that I read in October first, then we'll go into November, give you short recaps on them, and let you know what I thought. First book that I read in October, I will show you a picture because I read this one digitally. This is Leviathan. This is the last book in the second Lost Fleet series. This is the Beyond the Frontier last book. After this book, we go into a different set of characters. So this is kind of cool. It's we're not going to be with Blackjack after this point for a little while. I think we do get him eventually later on down the road. But it was kind of wrapping up Blackjack's story, which I think was a lot of fun. And I've enjoyed Blackjack's story up to this point. We're 6 books in the first series, 11 books with Blackjack. So it's definitely nice to get into another series, and I'll actually tell you about that one because I read that one in November, and I kept up with the read-along. Even though I didn't make any videos, I kept reading the books. Second I read was 1633 by Eric Flint and David Weber. Yeah, I have that right. 1633 by Eric Flint and David Weber. They co-authored this one, and it basically is the layout of the Navy, the Army, the Air Force in 1633. So it's the next year. A lot of the government is formed. A lot of things happen in the government. And then right there at the end, you get a really cool action battle scene. But for the most part, this whole front part, you're getting build. You're getting all the things that are happening. Technological advances coming from our world to their world, kind of doing all that kind of interesting forward thinking that Americans do, government building, manufacturing, all that kind of stuff. That's the whole first part of this book. So I would give it 3 stars, but because I'm so good with the universe, I gave it 3.5. But it's really just a world building book. Book 4 is a whole lot less of this and a whole lot more fun. Next, we're looking at The Magic Engineer. I have a copy of it, but I don't have it with me. I listen to it personally on audiobook. This is by Ellie Modisett Jr. I'll put a picture for you if I haven't already. Really, really good. I don't know why enough people don't talk about this series. This series is so cool. This one follows a young man. He's on recluse. This is book 1 was as far forward in the future as I think we get. Book 2 was as far back in the past, like the founding of Recluse. And right here we have Doran, which is dead center in the middle. And what he wants to do is he wants to create an engine. He's always wanted to create an engine. He's really interested in blacksmithing, and he has fought hard to be able to put himself in a place where he can create an engine. But the people of Recluse believe there's too much chaos in that, so they have said, no, we're going to send you off the island, kind of like they did with Laris in book 1, and send him on a danger guild. And he goes, he becomes an apprentice blacksmith, becomes a full blacksmith, and his struggles with, he becomes an order magician, and his struggles with the Chaos Wizards, and Chaos Wizards are trying to fight him, and all kinds of drama with the Chaos Wizards, like there always is. But it was great. I don't know why enough people don't read this series. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I don't know where I put my Dark Tower copy, but that is the next book that I read. I finished book 7 of the Dark Tower. I I even read past the part where Stephen King tells you to stop reading. I don't love the ending, but it's okay. I'll go into it more in a dedicated review. Glad I read the series. Really glad I read the series. I'm going to go into the graphic novels soon. I'm going to go into the like the side stories, like the Little Sisters of something, and the Wind in the Key, A Wind in the Keyhole, I believe. There's a few side stories. It's one of those where I'll always have fond memories of the Dark Tower, but I didn't love how it wrapped up. And I think a lot of people are there with me, so we'll see how that goes. Next was Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel. Really, really, really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting take on a book. It was kind of told more in an interview style. Basically, every entry was a entry of an overseer that you never know his name, but he kind of runs the program, and he's interviewing scientists, pilots, all kinds of stuff, forwarding his work, and you see what he has done, like some of the interactions he has with people. He talks about things that he has done personally, but we never learn his name. We never learn what's going on with him. But basically, they're uncovering alien technology that was left for us. And it's really, really cool. Really interesting. Definitely makes you think, I like this. So, worth a read for sure. And the last one of the month is The Lost World. Again, 3-star book. Didn't love it. I could have stopped with Jurassic Park and been totally happy. I didn't need this book. Definitely feels like it was an addition that was not needed. But we got it, so, all characters were brought back from the dead. Shouldn't have been. Added children for some reason, maybe because there were children in the first one. It would have been fine without them. Unnecessary book, honestly. All right, going into November. First book I read in November was John Quincy Adams. Well, I'd been reading it all of October, but I finished it in November. I don't think I finished my first book in November till like the 12th. And then I finished a bunch all at once because I had a couple of them in progress. But John Quincy Adams, Militant Spirit, was really, really good. You spend a bunch of time with him as a diplomat, as a senator, and then a diplomat again, a student at Harvard, Secretary of State. Very short amount of time with him as president because he got almost nothing done as president. And then the rest of his time, he was in Congress fighting slavery. Really interesting guy. If you want to know about the fight against slavery before the Civil War, this is a book for you. You'd really get interested in it and you'd really like it. It points out a lot of key points on what was going on when we were having that conversation and that fight. And then it really dives deep into one of our presidents, number 6, this guy. Then I went into 1634, the Baltic War. I can't stop reading this series. This series is so good. 1632 universe, or Ring of Fire universe, whatever you want to call it. Reading the side stories. Next, I have the Grantville Gazette. And I think Ring of Fire 2. I'll have to go look on Eric Flint's website and see what his suggested reading order is. But I know I've read the first 3 books in the main canonical story. So you start with 1632. That's everybody's starting off point. And then you can go straight into 1633, or you can read Ring of Fire, which is what I chose to do. So I read 1632, Ring of Fire, 1633, and then I went into 1634, the Baltic War, which that is the main canonical line, 1, 2, and 3. 1632, 1633, 1634, Baltic War. And then there's like 2 more different side stories. So as we're going, we're really spreading out and getting our fingers deep into this 1632 Ring of Fire universe. Like I said, Grantville Gazette is going to be next for me. And then maybe Ring of Fire 2. I'll look on his website. And then the other 1634 books, I believe there's 2 more set in that year, which are parallel stories. They're not side stories. They're like parallel. So you go from 1633 and you branch out. You got the main and then 2 side stories, parallel stories, whatever I'm trying to call them. And so I'll dig through all of 1634 before I move on to 1635. 1634 was so much more exciting, interesting. There was a really cool, interesting love story. It was good stuff. 2 interesting love stories, actually. Yeah. Next, Starship Troopers. So good. So good. There's a reason why this is still one of the best, most interesting science fiction stories of all time. It's not very long. I got through it when I actually sat down and read it. It's 263 pages is my copy. Not very long at all. I got through it in just maybe 3 days when I sat down and started reading it. And it's an interesting take on war. You have a young man who enters the war not really understanding where he wanted to be. He wanted to join... He's not even really sure why he joins the military. And he joins the military and goes through basic training, and they really stick it to him on... They want him to quit. They do not want him to go into the military. They do that to everybody. But if you're dedicated and you want to go through the military training process, they will let you. But they do everything in their power to make you not join the military. They're like, no, we don't want you here. You're not worth it. You're not any good. They put people in front that have had their limbs blown off in battle. Like, they're literally trying everything they can do to discourage you from going into the military. Because they believe that it's worth it. They believe that it's worth... it's something to be proud of. To be the way their government is set up is you have voting rights if you have served your country. And as long as you have the mental faculties enough to sign the paperwork and understand exactly what you're signing, they'll let anybody join the military. It's kind of an idea that I think is really interesting. So if you're paralyzed from the waist down or anything like that, you have the ability to go into the military. Because they want people who want to be there. And they want those people to be the people that make decisions. So the people that want to sacrifice for their country. And you can't even vote when you're a soldier. You can only vote when you have retired from active military duty. Really interesting take. A lot of people say it's fascist. I don't think it is at all. The best video I've ever watched on is Starship Troopers Fascist is by Seagulls Gather. Kind of how I found him, actually, years and years ago. And we've become friends through kind of the older sci-fi booktube space. The way he does book reviews is awesome. I love watching his videos. If you are not subscribed to him, you should be, because he's great. Yeah, Starship Troopers, I'm going to do a deep dive in it. I did a poll on my community tab, and everybody wanted me to do a deep dive, and I was wanting to do a deep dive on Starship Troopers. I'm not going to do into is it fascist, but I'm going to do a deep dive into why this book was written, who it was written for, and why so many young sci-fi authors love this book. And I'm going to have a lot of fun doing that. So that will be coming up sometime in the month of December. Next would be Tarnished Knight. This is the first in the Lost Star series, which is the third Jack Campbell Lost Fleet series. So you have Lost Fleet, you have Lost Fleet Beyond the Frontier, and now we have Lost Stars. And so Tarnished Knight is the first one. Finally, we get multiple perspectives. We have the president and the general of the world called Midway. And these two people are working together to overthrow the Syndic government in their home. And then what they're doing is they overthrow the Syndic government, and then they killed all of those, and then they're going to defend their home after Blackjack has just devastated their naval military. So they're like, all right, if we get now, they're trying to make alliances, trying to get ships to defend themselves, all kinds of stuff like that. Really, 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 really interesting. Honestly, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Just the fact that we were not just on ships the whole time. We had like ground fighting, and we had different stuff like that I really found super interesting. The way the government was set up, me and Carlos were talking about it. He also has a booktube channel now. Um, it felt very Russian government. It did not feel like American government. It felt like a type of government we would never stand for here. But it felt like it felt real. Like they were willing, they wanted to do the right thing for the people, but they were not willing to let the people pick their own politicians. Um, Interesting thought process. They want what's good for the people, but we still believe that we know more than you. um, which, not my kind of government, but it was interesting to see that point of view. Next was The Black Tongue Thief. This was not on my radar. I was walking through the library, and the cover, I'll show it to you here. I already turned my book back to the library, but the cover super intrigued me. It was really, really interesting looking. And then I looked at the author, and I was like, oh, this is Christopher Buehlman. He's great. I loved The Lesser Dead. I'll link my review for the. I'll link my review for The Lesser Dead. The Lesser Dead was so good. And that audiobook he read, just like he read this one. His accents, the way he tells the story, makes you kind of think of like a quirky little thief. That's what this guy is. He's a black tongue thief. He has a black tongue. He's a thief. Reminded me of like just like a fighty, scrappy little either Irishman or I don't know, like a put upon class of people. Like imagine that put upon class of people that is quippy and snipey with his talk, and he has been trained by a thieves guild, and that thieves guild puts you in ridiculous amounts of debt for your training. A little bit of magic. He can like climb any wall. He can fall and not get hurt. Stuff like that. He can do a few other magic things that they taught him, and he's just a really good thief as well. So he should be able to make his money, but he has a tattoo of a hand on his face, and anyone is allowed to slap him once to get a drink bought for them. One time, one person at each bar. Really interesting, because he can't fight back. And it really shows the character of like what they're wanting to do with the story and all that kind of stuff. I found it super, super intriguing. His snipiness and the way he was talking back and forth. I flew through it. A couple days read just because it was just so darn good. Christopher Buehlman is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. The book is magnificent. It says I read it in 7 days, but I don't think it took that long. I think I just forgot to write it down on my Goodreads. Yeah, it was great. 5 stars. I highly recommend it. I'm going to do a review on it, but I'm telling you that this is one heck of a fun read. I can't wait. I think it came out in. Oh, it says I added it November 13th, and then I was done reading it November 22nd. So I probably read it really quickly. It's from this year. It came out in 2021, so we're not going to have book 2 for a little while. But when book 2 comes out, I'm going to read it right away. All right. Last and not least, Harry Potter, book 6, The Half-Blood Prince. As I continue on with J.K. Rowling's work, I just wish she pulled an Eric Flint and let new blood come in. There's so many cool ideas and so many things that could be built on this world. If she would have had a couple co-authors, I think it would have been so stale and stagnant as it seems to get. The story's still interesting, but I really would have loved to see what somebody could have done differently than her. It just really retreaded a lot of the same stuff we were doing, book upon book upon book. And I want to see this story progress and do new things, but it just feels like we're doing the same things a year later, if that makes sense. Like I said earlier, it's going to be heavy with the self-published science fiction stuff. I'm going to try to finish all that up, but I believe by January 30th, I need to have all 10 of my top 10 books for the competition fully read. So this month and next month, I am going to be hitting those pretty hard. I've already got one of them read, so I've only got 9 that I have to make sure that I get. But still, nine books fully read in 2 months is quite a bit. So I'll talk to you guys soon. And TBR next. Yep. Talk to you. Bye.